Have you ever wondered what makes a nation? Is it the land, the people, or something more? Throughout history, it's often the bold decisions of a few individuals that steer the course of millions, shaping a country's very soul. Today, we're rediving deep into the stories of three American leaders whose choices didn't just make headlines, they redrew the map of a nation's destiny. From the birth of a republic to the brink of its collapse and into the modern era, these are the moments that changed everything. Let's start at the very beginning with a man who was offered a crown but chose a constitution. George Washington. After 8 long, brutal years leading the Continental Army to victory against the most powerful empire on earth, the newly independent America was fragile. The army was unpaid, the government was weak under the Articles of Confederation, and many feared the young nation would crumble. Some of Washington's own officers, disillusioned and desperate, saw a solution: make Washington a king. They believed a monarchy was the only way to bring stability. This was the moment of truth. Imagine the temptation. After sacrificing so much, Washington could have seized absolute power. History was filled with victorious generals who became tyrants. But Washington saw a different future. In a powerful letter, he flatly rejected the idea, calling it abhorrent. He understood that the revolution wasn't fought to replace one king with another. It was fought for the ideal of a republic, governed by the people. His most profound decision, however, came later. After 2 terms as the first president, he voluntarily stepped down. This act was revolutionary. It established the principle of a peaceful transfer of power, setting a precedent that has been the bedrock of American democracy ever since. By relinquishing power, Washington made his greatest contribution to it, ensuring the nation was founded on laws, not on one man. Now, let's fast forward about 70 years. The nation Washington helped build was on the verge of tearing itself apart. The issue was slavery, a deep moral wound that had festered since the country's birth. Abraham Lincoln, a lawyer from Illinois, was elected president in 1860. He inherited a union in crisis. Southern states, fearing he would abolish slavery, began to secede one by one. The nation was splitting in two. Lincoln's primary goal was to preserve the Union. He initially believed he could do so without touching the institution of slavery where it already existed. But as the Civil War raged on, claiming hundreds of thousands of lives, Lincoln's perspective evolved. He realized the war wasn't just about preserving a political entity, it was about confronting the moral contradiction at its heart. The decision he faced was monumental. Should he issue an Emancipation Proclamation? It was a massive gamble. It could alienate border states that still had slavery but remained loyal to the Union. It might infuriate Northern Democrats and cause soldiers to desert. Many advised him against it, but Lincoln saw a higher purpose. On January 1st, 1863, he signed the Proclamation, declaring that all enslaved people in the rebellious states shall be thenceforward and forever free. This single act transformed the war. It was no longer just a fight to save the Union. It became a crusade for human freedom. It redefined the nation's promise of liberty for all, setting the stage for the 13th Amendment, which would abolish slavery entirely. Lincoln's decision didn't just win the war, it began the long, arduous journey of remaking America into a more just and inclusive society, a struggle that continues to this day. From the battlefield of ideals to the battlefields of a global conflict, let's journey to the mid-20th century. The world was engulfed in World War II. America had emerged as a global superpower. But a new, shadowy conflict was brewing, the Cold War against the Soviet Union. In this tense atmosphere, President Harry S. Truman, a man who famously said the buck stops here, faced a crisis that would define the post-war world. After the defeat of Nazi Germany, Europe lay in ruins. Economies were shattered, cities were rubble, and people were starving. In countries like Greece and Turkey, communist movements, supported by the Soviet Union, were gaining ground. Many feared a domino effect, with one nation after another falling under Soviet influence. Truman knew that political instability was fertile ground for communism. He believed that a hungry, desperate person doesn't care about democracy. They care about their next meal. So, he went before Congress in 1947 and proposed something radical. He asked for a massive aid package, not just for Greece and Turkey, but for all of Europe. This became known as the Truman Doctrine, the principle of supporting free peoples resisting subjugation. It was followed by the Marshall Plan, an unprecedented economic recovery program that poured billions of dollars, equivalent to over $150 billion today, into rebuilding Western Europe. Critics called it a massive giveaway, a waste of American money. But Truman's decision was an act of incredible foresight. It wasn't just charity. It was a strategic investment in peace and stability. The Marshall Plan helped rebuild European economies, created strong trading partners for the U.S., and, most importantly, contained the spread of communism by addressing the root causes of desperation. This decision fundamentally altered America's role in the world, casting it as a leader of the free world and shaping international relations for the next half-century. From Washington's humble refusal of a crown to Lincoln's bold stroke of a pen, to Truman's visionary plan for a world in ashes, these leaders faced moments of immense pressure. Their decisions weren't easy, and they weren't without controversy. But they had the courage to look beyond the immediate crisis and envision a different future for America and the world. Their stories remind us that history isn't just a series of inevitable events, shaped by choices, by the character and conviction of individuals who dare to lead. These are just a few examples, and the story of America continues to be written by the decisions we make today. Thank you so much for watching. If you found these stories as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the moments that shaped our world. Let me know in the comments which leader's decision you think was the most impactful. See you in the next video.